Bashers services the needs of athletes of all ages. From Pee Wee leagues to professional leagues, we've got you covered with uniforms, team equipment, and fan apparel. Come visit us at 2828 Southeast 14th Avenue in Portland, or visit us on the web at www.bashers.com.
Hi, welcome back to Portland SportsBeat. I'm Michelle Cruz, and we have Ryan Johnson today, our producer. He's used to being behind the screen, so he's going to be a little awkward.
I'm back out front, where I started.
This is where he started, yeah.
Back where I began.
Yeah. This is, I mean, you were my first co-host.
I was, yeah. Well, I'm proud to be.
Uh-huh.
Now I've got Brad Stein to stack up against.
The competition is slim.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we moved him over to the interview area tonight.
Yeah, mainly because I didn't want to sit next to him, but that, you know, I appreciate that. Thank you for taking that
I didn't
into
share your text
consideration.
messages with him, by the way. Not yet. I decided to wait till after
maybe
the
later.
show.
Maybe later. Wait until I leave. So you have a nice little glow to you. Why
Thank you.
is that?
Oh, I was outside for a few hours tonight.
Oh, I'm sure the wife will like that.
That might have been it.
Yeah.
No, I had a baby. Or, my girlfriend had a baby.
Yeah.
Since the last time I've seen you guys. So,
Congratulations.
SportsBeat family is growing.
And the name?
Sasha July Johnson.
Why July?
Because she was born on July 27th.
Was that your idea?
That was my idea. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Nice. So what do we have going on today?
All right, we've got college football preview show today. So we've got 3 college football coaches on with us tonight, and then we've got a panel discussion, which is a new feature on the show.
Very nice. And what are they discussing during this panel discussion?
Panel discussion are 2 familiar faces, PJ Miller and Brad Stein, as well as one new face, Perry Salzauer. We'll be talking about recent rule changes or proposed rule changes in college football.
Okay.
Kind of been all over the news. So,
Yeah.
so we're going to talk about that and how it's going to impact the local programs around here.
Sounds great. And you've been doing a lot of research lately as far as being out on the field. You guys were
Yeah, a little bit. Football season hasn't started yet, but soccer season has. So we're going to have a call-in interview with Concordia coach Grant Landy midway through the show.
Yeah.
But that's going to be sandwiched in between a couple interviews.
Very nice.
So the coaches are?
Well, we have 3 coaches, correct?
Yes, we do.
We have Chris Casey here from George Fox, and we also have Grant Landy on the phone, and he is the coach for the Concordia women's soccer team. And we also have Chris, how do you say his last name?
Sulages.
Sulages, okay.
Yes, he's our
Here.
3rd guest from Lewis and Clark.
Yes.
So our first guest after the panel discussion is going to be Brian Harris from Western Oregon University.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we're ready to get to the meat.
I guess.
All right, you want to pass it over?
Not really.
Pass the
You
football?
can. You can.
All right, passing it over to the pit.
Nice.
Thank
Nice
you for the
catch.
grape.
Yes.
Nice catch,
Thank you.
Brad. All right, thanks, Ryan and Michelle. College football season's just starting, so we thought it was a good time to preview some college football. We got a lot of great coaches here who are going to give us some insight into some local programs around the area. There's a lot of great football going on here in the Portland metro area and places where we can travel to. So there's a lot of great football, and we're going to get introduced to those programs. But before we get to that, we wanted to talk a little bit about college football, kind of the state of college football, where it's at right now. There's a lot going on in college football world right now, so we want to make sure that everyone at home is apprised of kind of how football might be changing. Football is kind of the 9-pound gorilla around, and we want to make sure that that people kind of understand, that the things may be changing, that there's a lot going on. So there's a lawsuit that's going on right now. And so Perry, why don't you, as our legal expert here, why don't you go ahead and kind of fill everybody in?
Well, thank you. There are actually 2 cases moving through federal courts right now that may bring major changes to college football and college athletics in general. In the first case, former UCLA basketball player Ed O'Bannon and several other current and former NCAA athletes are suing the NCAA, Electronic Arts, and the Collegiate Licensing Corporation, which is the body that the NCAA has set up to license the likeness of the NCAA players. The major issue in that case is an antitrust claim, and the bones of it are that the NCAA prevents its student athletes from licensing their likeness in any way or being remunerated for any of their services, and meanwhile they go out and they are making a lot of money on those likenesses. So there is a second claim attached to that, which is a right to publicity claim, and that case just argued on June 20th whether or not they will get class certification, which would allow potentially every current and former NCAA athlete to participate in the case, and would lead to a very large settlement, most likely, on behalf of the athletes. In the second case, former Arizona State Sun Devil and Cornhusker quarterback Sam Keller has sued Electronic Arts and the CLC once again, and that does not make an antitrust claim. The bones of that is the right to privacy argument balanced against the Electronic Arts assertion that they have a First Amendment right to use some elements of the likeness of these athletes in their game. On June 20th, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled 2-1 in favor of Keller and his co-plaintiffs that EA should have been compensating Keller and the plaintiffs for the use of their likeness in the NCAA football franchise, which is a big moneymaker. So in many of the halls of college football, they're talking that the outcome of these cases could lead to major changes, one of which is, will college athletes begin getting paid to perform on the field?
Mm-hmm. Brad, what's your thoughts on college players getting paid?
I think they're already getting paid. They're getting free education, free housing, and they have the most important thing, and that's a free audition for the pros. Absolutely not. Should not get paid.
So, we have all these athletes, we have colleges, and there's a huge discrepancy between, you have these Division I football, like the Oregons, the Alabamas, the Arkansas. They're in kind of a different class than, some of the, like maybe more some of the smaller local schools.
True.
And, there's a lot of talk about, how it's going to affect sports throughout and how it's going to affect, football and basketball, which are usually the 2 moneymakers. And then you have the rest of the programs and, with Title IX and everything that goes along with that, how are you going to make it equal for all of the schools? Brad, can you talk a little bit about of what could be the difference between what happens to a big school and what happens to a small school?
You might want to take that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like when you have like the big schools and the small schools, if a big school like Oregon is making a lot of money, they're going to be able to pay their players and they're going to have a lot of money to be able to pay them. Mm-hmm. Whereas like the small schools are not going to have the money to be able to pay those. So they're talking about like separating themselves. So like these Division I schools going to a bigger classification and maybe them having some abilities to have a different story. And the director for the NCAA had a quote that he was talking about, right?
Well, yeah, they've actually, it's funny that you had mentioned Title IX. One of the defenses that the NCAA plans to assert is the infeasibility of a system where, as a result of Title IX, every single athlete, in their opinion, should be getting a cut of whatever money they're getting. And that would be a system that would be difficult to administer on their part. And one of the creative solutions that they've come up for that, is to create a trust fund. Where all of the revenue goes and that the students would be paid out of that trust fund post-graduation. And so they sort of do a little legal two-step to avoid the issue of are they getting paid to be college athletes. How do you feel about that?
Well, see, that's an interesting point. I like the stipend idea. I can go with that just as long as it was even playing field for every single sport, whether it's a girl, female, whether it's track, whether it's swimming, whether it's basketball or football. I'm okay if it's a small stipend, let's say $200 a month. I'm fine with that, just as long as it's even. and that's it. And that's the problem. Some small schools aren't going to be able to afford that.
Right. Well, most of the revenue comes from television contracts, and those are all reside with the big conferences. And so it stands to reason that the smaller conferences will lose out in this system because they just don't have the revenue to distribute amongst their players.
Well, if I'm a Division I football player, I'm the quarterback. You know, you hear all this stuff about Johnny Football, Texas A&M. He's bringing in millions of dollars for that school just by the publicity. So why shouldn't, if I am Johnny Manziel, why shouldn't I make it? If you are if you work at a job and you are a lawyer and you bring in millions of dollars for your company, aren't you obligated, and don't you have the choice of negotiating your own contract?
Well,
He's still a college student, though. He's generating a lot of money for the school, but he's also getting a free audition. He's going to be able to make 7 figures when he leaves. He has the opportunity. I went to college. I didn't get paid anything. I had to pay for my own internship. I don't know about you guys. I paid for my own internship. I didn't get free housing. I had to take my own loans. My parents didn't pay for anything. So I understand he's making a lot of money for the school, but he's getting free housing, he's getting food, and he's getting free education. He has the opportunity to play professional football or basketball or whatever sport it is. Isn't that enough?
Well, I did get a stipend for my internship, so I'm a little sympathetic to that. But I think it's a little more difficult to quantify the value that an individual college football player generates for the program. Now, we have the outliers, like Johnny Manziel, who you can arguably put a dollar figure on his publicity. But for the most part, in my opinion, the real value exists in the college franchise itself. The big maize and blue M on the Michigan helmet, the Gamecock, and that's what the fans are going to see. And I think you're going to run into a lot of trouble trying to determine which player generated which piece of the revenue. And I think that's why the trust fund idea kind of appeals to me, because you don't have to allocate specific revenue sources to specific players.
Well, if I go down last year, one of my friends, he had a kid. It was a newborn. I went and got him a little jersey. It was number 24, Kenyon Barner. I bought it because it was a Kenyon Barner jersey. So there's a direct correlation between that number 24.
But it didn't say Barner on the back.
It didn't say Barner on the back.
Right.
But you're buying it knowing that it is Kenyon Barner.
Right.
And that's the argument that Electronic Arts tried to assert in the Keller case, and lost, because they looked at Sam Keller and they looked at the avatar of Sam Keller, and there was no distinguishing characteristics other than what Sam Keller looked like.
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying. But here's the other thing. If you give them a stipend, like $200 a month, what about having them pay them back? Whether they become teachers, whether they become a quarterback for the New York Jets, or they're become the left fielder for the New York Yankees, pay it back. I don't care how much money it is. It's not a lot of money to them. Even if they're a teacher, they don't make it to the pros. Let them pay it back, and then I'm okay with it. Why should they get a stipend and other people don't?
Well,
I understand they're generating a lot of revenue.
Well,
but what about the small schools now that can't afford to keep up with them?
Well, I agree
And
that
some of those cities are, we're dependent on them for college football. There's a lot of cities there that their whole life is college football, even though it's not as big as maybe Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State or Notre Dame.
I think maybe you misunderstood. I am not advocating that college athletes should be paid. I'm just saying that.
I was just bringing the point
there
up.
There are mechanisms that we could use short of paying athletes that would alleviate some of the problems that they face in college in terms of making ends meet and such, and living a lifestyle that is that coordinates and correlates to the amount of revenue that they generate for the college and the boosters and everyone involved.
All right, well, we got to wrap it up. We got to get to some interviews here. We'll be back to talk a little bit more college football at the end, so I'm sure we'll pick this back up. But want to throw it back to Ryan and Michelle. Ryan and Michelle, back to you guys.
What an interesting dynamic that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Panel discussion, first time.
I'm pretty sure Brad got schooled there. You didn't hear that.
PJ and Perry were pretty into the
Yeah.
technical side of things. It was a
Nice.
panel discussion about the legal side of things,
Yeah.
but there's also the fan side of things.
Very interesting addition.
I think some of the good points brought up were that these guys are getting an opportunity.
Right.
You know, so maybe it's going to take a while to wrap our heads around the fact.
And there's 3 guys coming from 3 different backgrounds, correct? So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the idea behind it. So.
Very nice.
Thanks to those guys for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we swap out guests here, let's talk about some of the stuff that SportsBeat's been up to.
Okay, so you guys went to a kickball tournament, which I'm sorry that I didn't attend.
Have you been to kickball yet?
No.
It's like going and hanging out at the park,
Really?
drinking beer.
I dig that.
They drink while they play.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Well, the umpire umps with beer in his hand.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty casual, but
Yeah.
competitive at the same time.
Well, there's over 500 independent kickball teams out there, right?
500 in Portland?
Well, that's what. Yeah, that's one of the members told me.
That's
But
I didn't hear.
maybe he was
I didn't
being
hear that.
excessive.
That's a lot of. There are a lot of teams. I don't know about 500,
I don't know.
and there's even a handful of injuries.
Really?
My good friend Tyler's girlfriend got injured.
Oh no.
Yeah, ankle injury playing kickball.
Oof,
So,
that's intense.
anyways, SportsBeat was there doing
Yeah.
interviews, caught some of the game, the championship game between the Rainmakers and Negative Reinforcement.
Very nice names.
Very nice
Yeah.
names. Yep.
Are you on a kickball team?
No, I'm not on a kickball team.
Okay.
They've been trying to recruit me because I'm a soccer player, but I've held out.
Why?
I like just drinking beer on the sidelines, not having to
Just
get up to run around the
observing.
bases.
That's
yeah.
fine. That's totally fine.
Yep.
Kind
So
of like the show. You don't like to be up front and center.
only when needed.
All right. So you guys were also at the men's soccer exhibition game.
Yeah, July's, for all intents, besides kickball and slow pitch softball, July's a pretty slow sports month.
Yeah.
So we ended up videoing an exhibition game between 2 high-level soccer teams around town.
And can I find that online?
You can,
Very nice.
which is our website.
PortlandSportsBeat.com.
That's it.
Yeah.
Facebook.
We have a Facebook page. There's the fans of Portland Sports Beat, and there's also the actual page itself, correct?
There is, yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have an Instagram and a Twitter account.
Yep.
So.
And our
Follow
guy
us
in
on
charge of
there.
that, his name is Brandon Houghton. I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Brandon.
He
who's
is doing a great job.
Brandon's doing a great job on social media,
Yeah.
and his girlfriend also just had a baby.
Oh, exciting.
So congratulations
Babies
to
all
them.
around.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we're ready to go with our first interview, Mr. Brian Harris from Western Oregon University. And we'll send it over to him right now.
Sounds great.
All right, we're here with Coach Brian Harris, the offensive coordinator, Western Oregon University, the Wolves out at Monmouth, Oregon. Thank you, Coach, for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and explain maybe a little bit about your history, your background, where you came from, and how you ended up at Western.
Sure. I'm an Oregon guy. I was born and raised in Hillsboro, Oregon, and I went to college at Portland State and played there and coached there for a few years after. Moved on and was a graduate assistant at Boise State, and then got to come back into Oregon at Eastern Oregon as the offensive coordinator, then Humboldt State, and then now at Western Oregon.
So you played at Portland State, right?
Yeah.
Who did you play for there?
Tim Walsh.
Tim Walsh, yeah, is one of the great coaches from Portland State. So
Yeah.
definitely a good mind to learn from. So when you play for a coach like that, what did you learn? You know, I'm kind of guessing, did you have a desire to get into coaching when you were playing? Is that kind of something you knew that was in your future?
Yeah, I think football was something that grabbed me, and I've learned so much from football, and decided to kind of right after I was done just get right into it. And Tim was an awesome head coach, inspiration to me, and gave me a shot right after I was done playing, and really kind of set up my career.
So when you're making that transition, going from a player to a coach, what's it like? Is it kind of hard, like that first year after you're done playing? Do you kind of get that longing to be back out on the field, or was it just like immediately you were into the mode, like, hey, I'm a coach, I'm just going to tell them what to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago, it's hard to remember, but it came pretty naturally, actually, and now looking back on it, at Western Oregon, we're in a position where we have quite a few young coaches, so it helps me kind of get them into their own and help them with their career starting out. So.
Okay, speaking of the Wolves, you guys are coming off. This is your 5th year as offensive coordinator with the Wolves, right?
Third year as offensive coordinator, 5th year at the school, though. Yeah.
Okay, so you're working with Coach Arn Ferguson down there, and why don't you kind of give a snapshot of your season last year?
Last year we finished second in the conference. I honestly don't remember our record off the top of my head. Our conference has really come a long ways. There's several good teams. We're in the Greater Northwest Athletic Conference, which is Division II football, and we've battled it out every year for that first and second spot. And there's some other teams that are very good, and it'll be another battle this year.
So you guys moved up from Division III to Division II, or was it NAIA?
Yeah,
to
it was Division III. That was about 10 or 12 years
yeah.
ago, so it's been a while now.
Yeah.
So the dynamic of our football has come a long way, and we're playing teams like we opened this year with Eastern Washington up at Eastern Washington, who gets off of playing Oregon State the week before that. And then fortunate enough in 2014 to open up with Portland State. So
playing some very good competition coming up.
Absolutely, yeah. The competition's big, and that's the way we want it. Our guys are hungry for that and get ready to go.
So when you're playing these big programs like this, what kind of inspiration or coaching do you give to these players? Do you tell them it's just like any other game, or is there a little bit something extra because it is a bigger game or a bigger competition?
Yeah, you try and take it 1 week at a time and say every team's important and every team is a team we're trying to just go play our best, but you get into those stadiums and a few extra thousand people make a difference in your adrenaline a little bit. So yeah, those guys definitely get a little bit more fired up for those ones.
So we know defense is always important to a team, but everyone comes to watch the offense. So why don't you kind of explain the offense out at Western Oregon and kind of your philosophy?
Yeah, we've molded every year a little bit. We try to mold to our players and what we have, and recently we've gone a little bit more to the hurry up stuff, just like what Oregon does. We call ourselves a multiple offense, but with the way other teams are catching on to what University of Oregon does and speeding up the tempo, we try to do that as well. So that helps our defense out when we practice against them, and then they have to go face those other teams. It's really taken our players quite a ways as far as development goes, because they get that many more reps in practice and really kind of just keeps the energy of practice and the games going. So it's exciting.
So when you're out recruiting players and stuff, are you looking for players who can play at that tempo, or do you really just kind of look for the best players that are out there?
Yeah, a little bit of both, and that's another nice thing is our school. We have about 90% of our players come from Oregon, and the Oregon high school coaches have done an outstanding job of molding those players. So we get guys that are very well developed, and we do find those ones that need to develop a little bit as well, but Oregon's done, Oregon high schools have done an outstanding job of really getting those guys ready to go. So when they get to us, we have a pretty polished product.
So, you're talking about the high schools, and kind of explain, from maybe when you were in high school and kind of how high school has changed, how football, the programs, and how it's different maybe than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's just grown so much. There's quite a bit of exposure, and I think the biggest changes is probably those offenses, and it used to be the old wing tee and stuff you don't really even see anymore, and those high school coaches are going to a lot of clinics and a lot of camps, and they're going and they're meeting with those college coaches, and so their offenses and defenses have just come a long way, and they're doing stuff that are way more similar to what the colleges do.
So, offensive players, why don't you talk about a few of your players that
Sure.
that some of the fans at home will be able to see on Saturday afternoons?
Yeah, I think some of our highlights offensively, we have two quarterbacks that'll be battling it out, and they're both very good players. Ryan Bergman's a quarterback from Washington that has got an NFL arm, and he's got a ton of talent. He'll only be a junior, so he's one to watch for. Trey Shimibikuru is another quarterback from Hawaii, who's an outstanding player. And then an in Portland guy that's from Grant High School right here in Portland is Alex Jones. Will be a left tackle, and he's an outstanding player. This will be his senior year, and he's definitely one to watch.
Protecting the blind side of the quarterback there.
Very important position.
So will you guys run a platoon quarterback, or will you guys make a decision for game one and try to stick with that?
Yeah, we try and get that decision for game one. We've done it both ways, but we really want one guy to really step up leadership-wise and have the whole package. But with the competition we play, that second guy is just as important, so he needs to be ready to go as well.
That's one of the things that you really notice with good teams is that they have someone, quarterback is a glaring spot, but, they have guys who can step right into those situations. So explain, kind of why it's important to have a quarterback who can step in if there's an injury.
Yeah, it's the most important position on the field, and what the quarterback does makes everything else go. So you want a guy that's very similar to the guy that you have, so you don't have to change your offense around, that can really just step in, and everybody knows that they just need to gel with them, and they're not going to skip a beat to keep on going and keep scoring points.
So give us a little bit of a preview for how the season is looking so far.
Yeah, our guys just showed up on Tuesday. We had 2 days of compliance meetings and all that stuff, try and get it out of the way, and our first practice will be tomorrow morning at 7. Open up with Eastern Washington on the 7th of September, and our first home game, I believe, is the 21st at home.
And that is against Dixie State?
Dixie State,
Dixie
correct.
State,
I believe
yes.
that's right.
Yes. So lots of good football going on down there. I went to Western.
Oh, great.
So I graduated in '99, went down there in 2000 or '99, 2000, and I remember one of the things that I noticed while I was down there is there's a lot. You sometimes you think of smaller schools that the players are going to be a lot smaller, but there are a lot of big, strong athletes down there when I was down there. So watching some videos from last year, you guys definitely look like you had big, strong guys down there up front, and you had some good athletes out on the outside as well.
Yeah, no question. The talent is it's extremely good football, and Division II's come a long ways, and we got guys that are going to the NFL, and we've had, I think there were 3 as of last year currently playing in the NFL, and so it's good football. It's good quality football. It's a family atmosphere. That's one nice thing that you got Oregon State that's 20 minutes down the road, and that's outstanding as well. Ours is a little bit smaller scale and a family atmosphere, great facilities, and a good time. So.
All right. Well, we thank you very much for coming on. If you have any extra time on Saturdays, make some plans. Go down Monmouth, Oregon. It's not very far away. It's about a 45-minute drive, hour drive maybe. So you're going to see some great football down there. And I just want to say thank you very much, Coach, for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Ryan, Michelle, back to you.
Thank you very much, PJ. Michelle, have you been down to Monmouth lately?
I haven't. Have you?
I've been through Monmouth.
But never stopped to support the team, huh?
I've stopped in Independence. Kind of a cool little place.
Really?
It is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What were you doing there?
Oh, coming back from wine country, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm into that. That's nice.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to go through.
Yeah.
Go check it out sometime.
Well, it sounds like we have to go to some football games, too.
We got to go check out some football down there, right? Let's keep things moving along and get to this phone interview.
Yeah. So who do we have on the line?
Oh,
that's right. We have a video.
We've got we don't have a video either.
Okay.
We've got a video, but no phone interview. Okay, let's go ahead and roll the video then.
All right.
Not ready.
Well, it looks like you have to talk some more, so why don't you go ahead and do that?
Well, I'll pick up where I left off last segment on things I've been doing in July, other activities that I've SportsBeat's been at. What was the other one? Little League Softball World Series.
Yes. How was that?
It's all right. It sounds like we have a caller on the phone. Right?
Nope,
Okay, we'll interrupt.
not yet.
It wasn't bad. It was a good scene out there. They're some of the best little leaguers in the world.
Yeah.
So Elpenrose Dairy, have you been there before?
No, I haven't, but that's where they have the bike races too, right?
The velodrome races
Right.
that we covered a couple of weeks ago, right? Those go on out there too. It's just a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
It's an old dairy farm. So it sits out there on a ton of acreage and grass fields everywhere.
And I understand that there's no fee to actually get in there, right?
No fee for any of the events they have there.
Wow.
No, the bike racing, the Little League thing was free.
That's impressive.
They were giving away free snow cones even.
Really?
I
I bet you hit that up really hard.
I had the biggest snow cone that I have ever had in my entire life.
Okay.
She asked me what flavor I wanted. I told her grape. And she looked at me like, you can't have just one flavor.
Oh, so you had to get multiple
You need to have
flavors.
all the flavors.
Very nice.
Yeah, so she did like a 4-flavor snow
Okay,
cone.
so I'm sure you were just as sugared up as these Little League players.
Yes, yes, yes. Kitty is a 13-year-old girl playing softball.
Oh my.
All right. So while these guys get the next guest set up here, I was at the PSU Concordia girls soccer game today. So I'll give the report on it.
Okay.
We don't have Coach on the phone. It wasn't a real game. It was an exhibition.
And who was it against?
PSU,
Okay.
our home Viking team, playing at Concordia University.
Okay.
Concordia. Give a little background on Concordia.
Did you just put me on the spot?
I did. I put your paper on the spot.
Well, where? Oh, that's
Coach Grant Landy.
I was going to save that for him.
Oh, hey, Coach, are you on the phone?
I am.
Hi, I'm Michelle Cruz, the co-host.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Grant, we'll just pick up in our conversation where we're at right now. I was out at the game today.
Oh, good. I didn't know if you made it or not.
I was able to check it out. And I had a great time watching some good soccer.
Oh, good.
Yeah, give us, boy, how did you feel about the game?
I felt good. You know, we've only been into training for a week, so, you know, I thought our intensity level was good, and we got everybody into the game. So, you know, I thought I was pleased, actually.
It's an early season game, and officially it's not a game. It's just a scrimmage, basically.
Right, exactly.
I noticed that you played a lot of players, as did the other team, so everybody got to participate.
Right.
Was it something you were trying to, you know, they weren't keeping score officially, but were you trying to win?
Oh, of course. I mean, you know, at that level, you're trying to put your best foot forward every time you get on the field. But it wasn't our number one goal, to be honest. I mean, we need to be ready in a couple weeks when the games count. So it was more about just getting everybody onto the field and see who performed well.
Very nice.
So this is another preseason game here.
And when does your season actually start?
We head down to Ashland and play in a tournament down there August 23rd, 24th. We have back-to-back games.
Give our viewers a little background on what conference you play on, what division it is, all that good stuff.
Sure, yeah. We've been in the Cascade Conference for, the last 16 years that I've been here, so this is my 17th year. And we play in the NAIA, but we have some exciting news. We're certainly looking at maybe making a transition to NCAA Division II. So we're in the process of seeing if that's going to be a good fit for us and going through the transition. But you know, we've done fairly well at our conference level and national level, and we just want to try to keep that going.
Speaking of Coach Landy, I see that this is actually your 16th season as head coach. And you guys have had 14 conference championships. What do you plan on doing this year to continue to do that?
Well, you know, I think we started off on a good note today. You know, Portland State is a Division I team, good athletes, well coached. We always try to play them early on in the year. We play them in the spring, and it just gives us a good early season barometer to see where our team is. And I like what I saw today. So it's a long season, but we certainly are starting off right.
You guys are playing in a stadium that is new this year, or it was new last year?
It was finished in November of 2011, so we got to play a couple games on it during that season, and then we had the full slate of games on it last year. So we're into kind of our second full season in the stadium. What do you think about it?
I thought it was one of the most beautiful soccer stadiums, probably the most beautiful soccer facility in Portland.
Wow.
Oh, very nice. Thank you.
I like you guys, like Michelle mentioned, you have a very accomplished program. You went to nationals last year. Is the bar set even higher this year?
Well, we've gone to the national tournament, I think, 11 years in a row, so that's always kind of our goal. But, you know, I tell my team at the beginning of every year, there's so many games before you get that opportunity that you just really need to focus in on each game and each training session. And if you do that, you know, things will come together at the end. But we've certainly had our success conference-wide, and we've had some success at the national tournament. And I believe that's our team's goal. We haven't sat down and talked about it yet, but we'd like to get there. And once you get there, anything can happen. So that's certainly where we want to be headed.
Great news.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to following you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Throughout this fall. So I think we can count on our viewers having maybe a coach and some players into the studio for some interviews.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right. We got to get running, so thanks for coming on, Coach. We appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much.
All right, so we got that rolling. Let's get over to the interview now and go back to football. PJ, over to you.
All right, we are here with Coach Chris Casey from George Fox University. George Fox is back making a run at football. This year is kind of your warm-up year, and you'll be starting football next year. So why don't you go ahead and kind of talk about your history and how you ended up at George Fox.
Thanks for having me, PJ. I played at Linfield College. I coached at the Dallas High School for 3 years, coached at Linfield for 9.5 years, coached at Whitworth College for 10 years in Spokane, all Northwest Conference schools, and then coached at Aloha High School the last 9 years, and just came on board at George Fox January of this year.
So George Fox has a history with football. They haven't played it for about 40, 50 years. Is that right around the
45 years.
45
the
years.
last football season was 1968.
Yeah, so not a lot of players. You were telling me just before we went on about one of the years in 1960. Why don't you fill the listeners and the viewers in?
Well, I grew up one block from George Fox College, so myself and my brothers, we were down there. We were ball boys and bat boys and everything else. In fact, I was a ball boy in the very last football team in 1968, but we've had several alumni gatherings with former football players from the 1960s since we've come on board, and because there's great excitement about football at George Fox, the school itself, the community, and the alumni network, and specifically the players who played. But one of those players at the last alumni meeting we had said one of the years in the 1960s they had 13 players on the team. I don't know if that's how many they started with or with injuries, whatever, but they played most of the season with 13 players. So guys were going both ways and special teams.
Yeah, that's some Ironman football right there.
That really is.
Playing both ways. So George Fox is a great school. I know that they have a good baseball program there. They have some good basketball programs, both men's and women's. Talk about what it's like to be at a university like George Fox.
It's a great Christian school, and I think the part there, just the Christian pieces, are great human relationships there. It's a great school academically. The school's a great sell. Newburgh's a neat town. The campus is a beautiful campus. The college, there's great excitement about football returning to George Fox. As you mentioned, they won the national championship in baseball in 2004, won the national championship in women's basketball in 2009. They played for the women's national championship in basketball in 2011 and lost in the championship game. So it's a great history of athletics and athletic excellence there. I don't know that people realize that, and I think football is going to help that PR piece, that it's a great school academically, it's a great school spiritually, but it's also a great school athletically. And again, I think football is just going to help that process of being known as far as athletic excellence. So
you got hired last year at George Fox, is that correct?
Correct, last spring.
So kind of talk about this last year. You know, you're not playing this year, so you have another year of planning for your first season. What did you do in this last year as the coach and kind of the founder of the program?
Well, the biggest part of, by far, PJ, was the recruiting piece. We're bringing 67 players, new players this year. There's about 13 range of kids on campus that played high school football that were good high school football players that are either just there as a student or also playing a spring sport. We've got a couple of kids off the track team, a couple of kids off the baseball team that will also participate in football. So we'll be around 80 kids. They'll be able to train this year. We're trying to make huge strides just with physical developments. We're that much further ahead when we start in 2014. They will combine with the freshman incoming class 2014 to form the first team. And again, we'll be involved with speed, strength, conditioning, work with them all year and non-padded practices. But that's the biggest part is recruiting. The second part is staffing. And that's kind of coming in bits and pieces, steps and stages. And the third part is just all the infrastructure things with ordering equipment, ordering gear, ordering cloth. That's a huge part of it. And then we're building a $7.2 million facility, which is a building that'll house football and track with a new 2,500 square foot weight room and all the amenities as far as training room and treatment center, equipment room, laundry room. It's going to have meeting rooms, classrooms, coaches' offices, building the brand new stadium, new lighting system, new video board, which is the latest form of scoreboard, and then new turf field. So just all that infrastructure as well.
So you're talking about that the new field that you guys are going to be building. I was on your guys' website. You guys have like a whole section of your website for the football program that's kind of dedicated to that field structure. If someone wanted to get involved, maybe they're a former George Fox, they hadn't heard what was going on, or just someone in the community who wants to help get involved with that, how's something that they can help out with that?
Well, if they would contact the advancement office, they're the ones doing all the work with the fundraising. They've raised almost $6 million of the $7.2 million. People do want to get in and help. They've got about 3 donors that are major donors, but if they get on the George Fox website and go to the advancement office, that would be the place to go to get information on that. They are putting out kind of a postcard campaign as well on that just in recent months, PJ.
Okay. You come from George, you're George Fox right now, but I can't help but notice the ring on your finger there. You came from a great program at Aloha. That's a state championship ring there, and you coached one of the better players in the state, in Thomas Tyner. Talk about your time at Aloha. I'm sure that's got to mean something to you still.
That's a great assessment, I guess, PJ. Aloha will always be a part of me. That's an unbelievable community from a standpoint of the relationship between the community and the high school. Aloha's a school that's quite a bit different than all the other Beaverton schools. The other Beaverton schools in the Metro League are very affluent schools, and just a different dynamic at those schools than Aloha. And so it was just a great run to help change just self-esteem in that community. There's this great spirit and bond, but they'd really had some struggles with many schools opening up in the 1990s that took students away from Aloha. A real tough time socioeconomically there. They just had some struggles overall as a school, and specifically in athletics. And boy, it's just been tremendous progress made. It's one of the best schools in the state academically. Great family atmosphere there. Athletics have come a long way. Football has helped that. But yeah, the run in 2010, the state championship, was just a phenomenal part of my life and my wife and our family's life, and just what it meant to the Aloha community. And just that, in fact, Jerry Ulmer from the Oregonian said after one game that season, he said, first of all, you guys have as good a venue as there is in the state for football anymore. He said, secondly, people don't even shake hands around anymore. Everybody just hugs. He said the family atmosphere is just unbelievable. So the closest to that community with the high school and the football program specifically, and to win the state championship and was just a tremendous part of my coaching career, and just really so meaningful, so heartfelt, and it will always be a part of me. Even though George Fox is the head football coach, Lowe will always be a part of me and have a huge part in my life. Thomas Tyner was a fantastic player there. When you've run the 5 fastest times in the state of Oregon history on the track, in the 100 meters, it just shows the great speed, burst, acceleration. He's got the whole package. He's 6 foot, he weighs 210 pounds. He's got great power, great toughness, great just physical overall body strength, catches the ball well. He's a great team player. He's humble. He's what you'd want in any football player at any level.
So now you get to recruit guys like that. You get to kind of come on a different side, because in high school you get the players that you get. What kind of players are you looking for? George Fox, you talked about it's a Christian school, so maybe a different dynamic than maybe going to a normal state school or something like that. What kind of players are you looking for?
Even though it's a Christian college, you don't have to be a Christian to go to school there, which I think is a great part of George Fox. But it's certainly a nice option for kids that are Christian kids that are looking for that. We want kids that can perform at a high level, Division III, number one. Obviously, kids that are good students. George Fox is an outstanding school, as we said, academically. And we want kids that are good citizens. And we want kids that really have a passion and a desire and just a will to play college football. They're a kid that loves football, and they're going to be playing football 4 or 5 years later in college. They're not going to be a kid that's going to come and either not play or go somewhere else. We want kids that have a great passion for football, but those kind of kids. And there's a lot of them out there. Oregon does a great job. We want to leave no rocks unturned to the Northwest, Oregon, Washington. We're actually really literally recruiting the whole West Coast.
So players that are coming in this year, are they just all redshirting this year, and so they'll have their 4 full years of eligibility?
Yeah, there is no redshirt at Division III anymore, okay. But this is the equivalent of that they'll be able to train all year, as we said, and lose no eligibility.
So they'll still have their 4 years.
Yes, they'll have their 4 years to play in 2014, the group that's coming in this year.
So if there's players or anybody out there who's interested in George Fox, the football program out there, how would they get some information about it?
Go onto our website and go to athletics, go to football, and up in the right-hand part of the football top page or website page, there's a Become a Bruin, and you fill out that online football questionnaire and submit that, and that gets you into our football and our admission system and gets the process started. Obviously, we visit schools, call kids, get coaches' questionnaires, and all those things, but somebody that wants to just get started on their own, that's what they would do.
All right. Well, we thank you very much, Coach, for coming on. I'm sure that as the program heads into next season, we'll have you on again or have some players on. So good luck this year, and as you guys get everything together, get your stadium built, and look for some great things from George Fox coming forward.
Thanks, PJ. It's a huge challenge. We're not concerned with the challenge, we're concerned how we're overcoming the challenge. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Ryan, Michelle, back to you.
Thanks for that interview, PJ.
And thank you, Coach Casey. Did you know that he also brought up the Whitworth team from being the underdogs to champions as well?
I did not know that was in his history.
Yeah.
That was a great interview.
That was a great interview. Good job, PJ.
I look forward to watching that again when I get home. All of SportsBeat's material you can see on portlandsportsbeat.com. And
we also have some of the videos posted on the Facebook page.
We have some videos posted on the Facebook page. If people want to call in and ask our guests questions, you can call 503-288-4442. And if it's a good question, we'll patch you through.
What's a bad question?
If it's a bad question, we'll just have you talk to Brad.
You would be really good at answering those.
And so let's talk a little bit about shows coming up and what kind of content we have.
Yeah, so this is new to me.
All right, I'll talk about it. You
Please,
can listen.
yeah.
So our next studio show is August 28th. So that's 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
And we're going to have a high school football preview show.
All right, high school.
High school football.
right.
So today's college football. 2 weeks from now is high school football.
Are we going to get anyone from Marshfield on the set?
From Marshfield? Not unless you call them up.
I might do that.
Go for it.
Okay.
So that'll be a good show. That's 2 days before high school regular season starts. So week 1 is August 30th for high school football.
Okay.
All right. 2 weeks after that, September 11th, we're going to have a soccer preview show. So we'll be covering boys soccer, boys high school, girls high school, men's and women's college
We're
soccer.
going to start ramping up on the fall sports then.
Fall sports really picks up.
Yeah. Speaking of, are you going to go to any games in the near future? College football games?
College football doesn't start up for a couple weeks. I'm going to go to some local games, yeah.
Yeah?
I'm going to go to a Lewis and Clark game.
Okay. And when is that?
I
I guess we could check their website.
Their opener is on the 7th of September.
Are you sure? Did you just
Yeah.
just double check it?
Yeah. Well, let's verify that.
Yes.
All right,
Let's
we've got
send it
Chris
over.
Sulages on set with PJ Miller. All right, go for it.
All right, I'm here with Coach. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of let everybody know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Chris Sulages, head football coach, Lewis and Clark. Been at Lewis and Clark now. This is my 11th season. Going to be my 8th season as the head coach. Previous to this, I coached at Cal State Northridge, Occidental College, Weber State, University of San Diego, and I spent 2 years in Europe with the Prague Panthers in the Czech Republic. So.
What was that like coaching over in Prague?
It was a great time. It's real difficult to coach guys. We don't speak the Czech language, but it was a great experience.
Were you talking mostly with translators there?
Mostly, yeah. So I would coach speaking English, and then I would have to pause, and then the translator would talk. So halfway, it was really kind of it was fun though.
So was that hard? Like, if you're really getting into a guy and you're like, hey, you got to get this done, and then the translator's like, yes, you need to do this. I mean, did they show the passion that you showed, or did they?
No, definitely not. So that was the inflections, especially in those Slavic languages like that, was pretty hard.
Yeah. You've been around coaching for a long time. How did you end up with Lewis and Clark, and what was the decision to go there?
It just kind of worked out really well. It's hard as an assistant. Mike Fanger was there, who's now at West Lynn High School, and everything just kind of worked out right. System fit, I fit with him, and it was just a good fit for everybody.
So Lewis and Clark, we've as someone from the community, I've kind of watched Lewis and Clark and seen that program. Not a lot of people outside, maybe know about it. So why don't you talk about some of the highlights of Lewis and Clark and kind of the program and what some people may not know about it?
Well, we're right here in Portland. I mean, literally, it took me about 7 minutes to get here. So, everyone's welcome to come see a game. Love to have you at the game. But Lewis and Clark College, top 75 academic school in the country. We are voted always, a lot of people don't know this, top 5 most beautiful beautiful campuses in the country. Last year we were number 2. We got to number 5 this year. I don't know how that works, but we did. But it's an amazing place, an amazing education. We're in the city, but secluded from the city, and it's just a really unbelievable campus that the professors, coaches, staff, everyone on campus really cares for the students there, and it's a pretty amazing place.
So are most of the players that come and the students, are they from the Portland area, or do you have to kind of branch out from where you're getting players from?
We're really a national college. So we recruit, really the whole West. So we got guys from Alaska and Idaho and Southern California, Northern California, Arizona. You can go on and on, Texas, and that's what makes it a really fun place to be. With everyone comes together along with our Oregon and our Northwest guys. It's just a really good place, and guys, I feel sorry for some of we have a couple parents who live in San Diego one time that everyone visited them because they live close to the beach in the summertime. So it was kind of a Lewis and Clark hotel. So it's a really good cohesive group, and it really matches our college because we're a national college. And along with the program, we're one of the few programs that we do travel nationally. We open up, we're playing a team in upstate New York, Utica College, this year to open up the season, traveling out there, and that's part of what not only the college believes in, but also me as the football coach believe in too.
So do you use those kind of like as a recruiting tool? I know that like if you're going to go recruit a kid from Texas, a lot of teams will try to schedule a game in Texas, so you can say, hey, you'll at least be able to play in front of your family one time. Do you use those kind of things as a recruiting tool? Oh,
we do, because like I said, it's not normal for a Division III football program to get outside of the region. We've played a game in Chicago and St. Louis and Minneapolis, and we can go on, and it doesn't happen very often. We get on the plane and we fly, and we get, it's like it's college game day like you see on TV. It's not Division I, Division III, but we get the same buses, we get the same thing, and it's a great experience for our guys.
So is that a decision that you kind of make, or is that you get with your athletic department, or how does a decision like that come about?
That's kind of an everybody decision, but like I said, it matches the school. We're, not only when I say nationally known, we're really known throughout the world. We're one of the best international programs in the country, one of the first programs. So internationally, we got alumni all over the world, football and from the college, and it kind of matches what we do and what we believe in.
So some of the players that have graduated and have gone on, not a lot of them are playing in the NFL. So what kind of things do they do after their football career? Because, it's a great college with great academics. So these guys are making an impact after football and, kind of let people know what they're doing.
Like I said, we're a top-notch academic school. We got some guys that do some amazing things academically, and when they move on from Lewis and Clark, they can do whatever they want. And that's the big thing. They get that liberal arts education that we give them. They are well versed in doing whatever they want to do, whether they're majoring in science or math or English, whatever it might be. They know how to communicate. But we got guys that I coached. I think when Eric graduated in 2007, he's a physics professor in Germany. Then we got guys that are police officers in the military to salesmen, and we can go on and on. It's just, but they all fit somewhere, and they all do a great job in what they're going to do.
All right, so let's get onto the field. Let's talk about this year. Coach wants to talk about the football field, yeah.
That's right.
So talk about this upcoming season, kind of maybe what your expectations are.
Well, it's going to be a fun year. We actually start on Saturday, practice report day Saturday. But I think the interesting part, we got this kind of great group that we have some older experienced guys, but we also have some young guys that are going to get on the field for the first time and really playing those games, and that's what camp's all about. Be really excited to see what some of those guys can do. We're returning our quarterback, our guy kind of deal. Keith Welch is going to be a senior, and he's kind of broken every record, and he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, Division III. And he's got some great guys to throw to. Andrew Frasina, and some linemen in front of him, Matt DeRosa, who started for 4 years, and Spencer Lane, who's going to be a junior but started the previous 2 years. And on defense, defense is where we're really young, and it's going to be fun. One of the guys at corner, Mario Delegato, he's from LaSalle High School. It'll be fun to see him get on the field and do a bunch of good things, and it's just, we're excited to get it going.
So offensively, do you guys play more of an up-tempo with it? Because obviously you like to throw the ball around. Do you guys play a more up-tempo? You kind of making that morph with everybody else? Or do you guys still like to, huddle up and?
We kind of do a lot of stuff, but we are a spread offense. We look, and it wasn't on purpose, but we look a lot like Oregon. It's a lot of stuff they do right down to all the different type of route combinations and some of the run game. But we are high tempo, no huddle. You make sure the defense is on their heels at all times, and they have to adjust to us and play our game, and that's kind of what we like to do.
So when you're offensively and you're calling plays, are you like 3 plays ahead of where you're at? Do you kind of know what the next series of plays are, or are you really making it on a play-by-play decision?
Probably a little bit of both. Because a lot of times you win the game, the situation changes. Could be second and 6 turns into 3rd and 16. A lot of times that stuff can change, but you definitely got to think ahead of what you're doing. And our coordinators do a great job of that.
So offensively, you're calling a play. Do you call plays in the in the first quarter, knowing that you just want to see kind of what they're doing? A lot of teams will use motion to kind of see what the defense, how they're going to react to it, so they can use it later on. Is that some of the offensive schemes that you guys use?
Yeah, we definitely do. We're a multiple formation spread offense team. So early in the game, we're going to throw some stuff out that we want to see how they line up against it, and we maybe a little bit different, so we see how they line up against some different things and use some motion, use some shifts, use a lot of different things that'll cause those defenses some problems.
So on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of these teams are going to that up tempo. How do you defensively kind of prepare your players to do that? You can condition them, but how do you mentally get them ready for that?
Well, they get to go against our offense, and we're all about speed, offensively and defensively. So we do all the no huddle stuff in practice, and we're big on that. And defensively, we don't huddle either. So that's part of how the game has changed defensively. Not very many defenses are huddling anymore because you can't get back to the huddle, get the play. Everyone's got to know what the signal is and know how to get that done and get that play moving.
All right. Do you have anything else you would like to add? First game, you guys are playing at Utica. When's your first home game?
First home game is the week after that, which is going to be on the 14th, I believe, at 1 p.m. versus Claremont College.
And they can come out to the we were out at the stadium for a game earlier. It wasn't for football, but something during the off season. It's a great stadium down there. It's a great atmosphere. Definitely recommend if you have a Saturday and you don't have anything else planned or make some plans to go down to Lewis and Clark. It's a great atmosphere down there.
Yeah, but it's a great. Best thing is for families. You don't have to go to some of the bigger schools in our state to spend all that type of money, where you get the same thing at our place and have the kids really experience close up and see it.
Yeah, and there's definitely some local kids on the team, and you'll be able to help support local athletics and not have to drive 2 hours down the road to go see some great football. So, and football has really grown here in the Portland metro area and the state of Oregon, and it's great to see, because I'm sure that you get the reflection of that because you're going to get better players. So it's probably helping you.
Oh, it definitely is helping us. The coaches in Oregon and the Northwest, they do a great job of multiple schemes, and they really do care about their student athletes, and that's the transition they're going to make to us.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Ryan, Michelle, back to you.
But we'd like to thank all of our guests for being here, and our air times. Yeah.
Oh, you can see the show again on Friday nights at 11:30 on Channel 11, and on Monday evening at 9 p.m. on Channel 23 in HD.
And you can. Is that a new thing?
It is a new thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to be in the studio every 2 weeks starting August 14th. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Anything else?
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Go ahead and thank our sponsor again.
And I'd like to thank our sponsor, Basher's Services. The needs of athletes of all ages, from the Pee Wee leagues to professional.